What's up, everybody? So, today I'm going to be sharing my near death experience when I overdosed. And so, it all started when I was in the living room with me and a bunch of my friends. And we got a phone call from one of our mutual friends. And he was saying how one of our other mutual friends was in the hospital from a fentanyl overdose. He did some other drug, but it had fentanyl in it, and he overdosed. And he was just trying to warn us, make sure we was good, we was all right. And but right before we had ended the call with him, he had said, "I just hope you guys are all good and all right." And right when he said that, I felt like a lot of weight on my chest, and I dropped to the floor, and my heart was beating really fast, and I was like trying to get my strength back to stand up. Me and my roommate was arguing because he was trying to call the ambulance for me, and I was telling him, "Don't call the ambulance," because I didn't want the cops to show up at my house. And so I got really angry, and I feel like the anger is the only thing that made me be able to get up and move. Because I was so angry, I got up and started yelling at him. I was like, "Don't fucking call the cops," this and that. And excuse my language, but so I stormed out the door, and I'm like, I'm about to go to the hospital myself on the light rail on the train. I don't live too far from the hospital, but still it's a little bit of ways after you get off that stop. And so before I was gonna take off down the street, I was gonna, download some of these songs that my grandfather like we were playing before he passed away. And in my mind, I was just thinking, if I was gonna die, I wanted to listen to his songs. And so while I was doing that, I heard my mom call for me. And my mom told me that she never called for me, right? So that was weird. But when I heard that, I looked to my right, like down the parking lot, and I seen the headlights of my stepdad's truck. So I go downstairs and I start walking to the vehicle, and I tell them I gotta go to the hospital. I don't feel good. I didn't tell him why, because I didn't know exactly what was wrong with me. But as I was driving to the hospital, as we get there, I get out and I start walking towards the door. As I'm walking towards the door, I feel my left arm. I feel like needles are poking, like every part of my left arm. I feel needles poking it, and I feel it going numb. And I didn't know it at the time, but I guess that's what happens when you're about to have a heart attack or a stroke. And so when I get inside the hospital emergency, I start talking to the guy at the front desk, and I'm trying to tell him my name. I'm trying to tell him information. I'm trying to tell him what's wrong with me. And my words are slurring, and he can't understand me, so he gets frustrated. And he's just all like, you know, telling me to repeat myself when I can't get my words out. And my mom has to tell him my name, my information, and all that, and what's wrong. And so they hooked me up to the blood pressure thing on my arm, and they try to run my blood pressure, right? And it says error, and so they try to do it again, and the machine says error a second time, and so they get a brand new machine. They hook me up, try to run my blood pressure, and same thing happens. It says error, so they're like, okay. They put me on the bed, rush me to the ER room, hook me up with IVs, and my blood pressure is my heart's beating so fast that when they take the needle out, the IV, the blood squirts everywhere. It gets on the floor, gets on the bed, gets on the clothes, and they cover it up, and you know, and they hook me back up with it, and they try to they put some medicine in me to try to get my heart to start going back to normal, and it doesn't work. And they're like, okay, we're gonna do it a second time. We're gonna try the second time. If it doesn't work this time, then we're gonna have to shock them with the shockers. They put stuff, put those things on your chest and they shock you. So, but the second time when they put the medicine in, it worked the second time. So they didn't have to do that. But when they did it the second time, they had to stop my heart. So that means like I died for like a second or 2 seconds or whatever. Or I mean, it was probably more than that, probably like around 10, 15 seconds. And excuse me. So as that's happening, I'm looking at the ceiling because I'm on the bed. I'm looking at the ceiling. And to the left of me on the ceiling, I see his face. I see his face. It's like a woman's face, but it's not. It doesn't look fully human. It looks like best way to describe it is like an elf. Pointy ears, pointy nose, slanted eyes, and she has really big teeth, sharp teeth. And she's looking at me with a big smile on her face, like if I'm delicious or something, right? And so, like at that point, like fear doesn't overcome me. It's more of like a confusion to like, why am I seeing this, right? I'm just confused. So like, why am I seeing this? And like, I did shrooms, I did acid, I did Molly, I hallucinated off all those drugs, and I'm used to like hallucinating. It doesn't really like trip me out that much, but as I'm seeing this, I'm just like, where's God? As soon as it comes into my head, I'm like, where's God, right? I'm not even thinking like the name Jesus. I'm just thinking God, right? Like, where's God? And so, as I'm thinking that, I see two hands like this. I see two hands. No, sorry. I see two hands like this, exactly like this. Instead of that face, I'm seeing this. And then I see him push away clouds like that. And then I see his robe. I see a long robe. I see a long beard. And I see arms wide out like this. And and when I see that, I'm just like, I'm just like seeing it. I mean, I didn't feel nothing like too intense when I seen it. I just like seen it. And then they inject me with the medicine, and then I'm back to normal. Like my heart is beating back, the rhythm is supposed to be beating, and I'm back to life. And so that's pretty much it. I mean, So the doctor that I was talking to when I first got into the emergency room in the front desk, he comes into the room. He's like, "So you're back to life now, huh?" And I'm like, "Yep." And we just started talking for a minute, and I was thanking him for helping me and this and that. And on the way back home, I was telling them what happened. Mom and my stepdad. I'm telling them what happened and stuff like that. And as they're about to drop me off, from when I get out the car, I tell them, I heard her calling for me. And then she tells me how she was never calling for me. Like, she never called for me. And it tripped her out, and she started crying. Yeah, she started breaking out with tears and started crying because she swore she never called for me. So if I didn't hear her, though, I wouldn't have been here to tell the story. Just know, God's real. He's our first Father, our Heavenly Father, not our earth Father, our Heavenly Father. We get our strength from Him because we come from Him. That's all for this video. Hope you all have a good night. Thank you.